Podcast World, what's up? Chad Belling back at you. Here we go again. Wildfowl Gear issue. Have you opened your mailbox? Have you been to Walden Books? Have you been to Barnes and Nobles? Have you bought your gear issue yet? The Bible of duck hunters, the Bible of goose hunters, American Canadian waterfowlers. They do a great job in all their issues, but the gear issue has become sacred amongst us waterfowlers who love this lifestyle, this culture. And you've heard us say it here before that if we walk into a hunting lodge or a place that specializes in hunting and they don't have at least one wildfowl magazine in the bathroom or on the coffee table, they almost lose instant credibility with myself and many other people that we've had on the podcast. I'm going to actually ask that question to start today's podcast off. Today's guests, again, our co-host from Wildfowl, brand manager and editor-in-chief, Mr. Skip Knowles. Skip, how are you?
Very good, sir. You'll know when that issue hits your mailbox because it lands with a whomp.
A whoomp. And we're very blessed today to have two gentlemen back on the podcast that you've seen on the Fowl Life. You've seen them on Realtree 365 app on their own show, the Honey Break Experience. You've actually heard them both here on episodes with each other, episodes with Leith Lofton, episodes about the great place that they get to hunt at Honey Break in Louisiana. Drew Keith, the general manager of Honey Break, and Jared Mophett, which I consider like the Renaissance man. The more I learn about Jared Mophett, and I think Drew will attest to this, he hunts as much as anybody in America, and he never has missed a day, I believe, in 20 years, but we're going to get to, maybe he missed one day in 20 years. Jared Mophett, Drew Keith from Honey Break, Louisiana. Welcome, my friends.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Jared, was I right on that? Was it one day that you've missed in 20 seasons? I know that you and Drew started together back in the day, even before Honey Break. Just give us the rundown of the early days of you and Drew guiding hunters and hunting that area of Louisiana, and then how it started with Honey Break.
Well, we've been guiding together for 26 or 27 years.
Seasons now.
26 seasons, and no, I don't like to miss any days. You know, a day I miss is a day I may not learn something. I'm just as eager to see one fall November the 22nd or September the 13th, the opening day of teal season, I was when I started 26 years ago or 35 years ago as a kid. But I don't like to miss many days, none if I can help it. But every once in a while it could be a funeral or something that they schedule at 10 in the morning, not 2 in the evening. You got to go to it. So every once in a while it's just something you have to do, but you hate to do it. But it's been a long time since we missed a day of season, and I don't brag about that. It's just some days I may not even hunt. I'm just out there just watching and scouting and looking. Just every day I go to learn something. If I learn something.
I heard a rumor, Jared, that Drew Keith has actually already let everybody know at Realtree and the other partners that y'all work with that Jared will be attending SHOT Show in January of 2021 instead of Drew, so he can hunt and you're going to Vegas.
That's where he's wrong.
Drew, you never said that?
Yeah, we're trying to get SHOT to move to Louisiana again.
Yeah, they need to be back in New Orleans so y'all can just drive down there for the day and be back after the morning hunt. Skip, I've been talking to you about my experiences down at Honey Break and why I wanted to have these two gentlemen on this episode as we navigate our way through the giant gear issue of 2020-21 duck and goose season. I wanted to call on these guys because of their extensive experience and knowledge of what it takes to breed that consistent success, not just for themselves personally, not just to put food on their family's table, but to make sure that they provide an experience and you always hear the hunt of a lifetime, and that gets thrown around a lot. But when you go down to Honey Break and everything from the welcoming, the red carpet, to the lodge, to the food, to Miss Shelley and the recipes and the dining accommodations, to the music, to the four-wheeler, I've always said how immaculate their Polarises are. It's absolutely amazing to see the operation down there, Skip. And that's before the freaking hunt even starts. That's before you go on a 15-minute UTV ride. Then you get in an awesome boat with a gator tail motor on it, and you take a really cool boat ride out to a garage, a blind that's actually got a boat garage on it, Skip. I don't know if you've been down there. If you haven't, please do so. But these guys hunt with so many different people throughout the year, and they're dependent on gear every single day. So I wanted to call on Drew Keith and Jared Mophett, Skip, to educate us a little bit on what is it that they have, Why do these duck hunters depend on wildfowl to teach them about this type of gear? And do these professionals that depend on the gear really use it? Or is it just something that you feel your page is a wildfowl to get an advertiser to get a full page ad in there? I don't think that's the case. These guys are actually using the gear that we're going to discuss today. So Skip, I'll let you start it off a little bit about what's going on with the gear issue and what kind of accessories we can expect to see in it. And then we'll go into what Drew and Jared are utilizing every day for their success at Honey Break.
Well, I'm actually really relieved to hear that Drew's not going to be at SHOT Show possibly this year because I never see him coming. He's a huge, powerful man. I generally get a back-cracking smack on the rib, on the back of the ribs, or he picks me up with one arm or something. So I look forward to not being bushwhacked this year. But I have been to Honey Break many times, and every time you're there, you just marvel at the place and the experience and the immersion in waterfowling. And what I really like about Honey Break is it provides you so many other opportunities besides just duck hunting. Just see why Louisiana is a sportsman's paradise and is billed as such. I had a surprise deer hunt after an insane morning of shooting canvasbacks and cover shots down there for Gunnar Kennels and Addison using Lee Jost, his photography. And that same day, I went deer hunting. And at the time before that, I was down there with Drew, with Adam Vinatieri, the highest scoring football player of all time, running around chasing wild pigs. And it's just an amazing place. But in that vein, you can say that there's probably nothing they don't use, from knives to every kind of lanyard. You could tell from Drew's iconic hat, he has this distinct preference there. And they know whether a blind bag is BS, and if it doesn't have a rubber lined bottom, or it doesn't float, or a gun case that doesn't float, because they hunt water, they hunt everything there. It's just like you said, the dog's gonna be beside you, shaking off. I hope to hear a little bit more about Storm if you still have him, Drew. That's an amazing Labrador you have.
Well, yeah, I don't know Storm. What was the dog's name that we hunted with?
With Chad's hunting with me, like, was this the third or fourth year? He's like, man, that Thor, what an awesome name for a dog. I said, yeah, it's a pretty good name. This dog's named Storm. Because I talked so fast, he thought I was saying Thor. No, Storm.
Oh, God. Oh. And Storm is an every dog that, I don't know if everybody knows the success that Moffett's had with SRS and his dogs. And I don't know if people understand the reason why. One of the rules at Honey Break is that you don't allow clients to bring their dog. I don't know if that's fair to say, Jared Mophett. I don't know if they're not allowed, but I think it's recommended not to. And it's mainly, let me paint my picture of why, from what I've seen down there. Skip, these decoy spreads are gigantic. There could be 7, 8, 10 dead ducks at a time. What Drew and Jared do with their dogs is a freaking like a surgery room, right? They're out and back and ready for the next flock. They'll pick up 7, 8 ducks in a heartbeat, and they don't need a lot of ducks going and messing with the decoys and swimming through them and tying up lines. These dogs that they have are proficient in the way that they hunt there. Is that fair to say, Drew and Jared?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right. On-job experience and a lot of it. And it's not a rule you can't bring your dog. You just got to pay for it, we tell most of them. And we do allow some people to bring them that pay the fee. But we've been over the years and seen a lot of dogs. It's not that they weren't nice dogs and great dogs. They had a lot of titles under their name, but they just hadn't been in them blinds and seen them situations.
It goes back to the basics of dog training, the socialization. Just like with your kids. If you don't introduce them to everything at an early age, then they don't know what's going on. Or even a 4-year-old dog, or Storm. When I first got Storm, we went on a little dove hunt, and more playing and loving just to get to know each other, and then take him to every one of the blinds, get him used to it, going up and down the dog ramps. That's just stuff people a lot of times they overlook. We talk about it all the time on our dog tips and stuff. You take a 5-time grand champion who goes and makes 4 runs, picks up some marks and picks up the blind and comes back and honors the dog, and then he goes back to the trailer. Well, if you go out there and see, 250 decoys and 6 shotguns going off, you just blew that dog's mind. It's not the dog's fault. He just never seen that. So that's the biggest thing is the OJT. That experience.
Safety too.
Right.
I remember Landon had a dog that got his ear shot off. The more dogs, the more prone they are to breaking. And
Boss is still running with us.
And that's you said OJT, on the job training. I assume that is what that acronym stands for. And I truly believe that. I think that as polished of a machine as you guys have there, it's evident that the pieces of the puzzle have been finally put into place. It's not just slammed together. And I mean that. You guys run an amazing operation that a lot of people would be like, well, I mean, it's cool. They got a nice lodge and good food. And I'm talking from A to Z, Skip. And you can validate that as well, Knowles, is that they got it going on down there. But one of the main things that keeps you guys successful, Mophett, is your organization. Organization is the key to success. I've been taught that since the 9th grade. If you can stay organized, even like if you're in the greatest kitchens in the world, and if you're with Wolfgang Puck, a top line chef, he'll tell you, he's got people around him to clean up when he's done doing this part, and he's on to this next part, and the knife's right there, and the onions are here, and the garlic's here. Like, they're organized, right? That's what breeds success. And that's what Honey Break is. It's like a operating room. It's like being on the best sail fishing boat in the world when you're kite fishing and you're looking for sails and you're landing sails. That's what Honey Break is to me when it comes to waterfowl hunting, the entire experience. But the gear that you use, are you dependent on it? Is it something that you take for granted and you just have a lanyard here with a couple calls? Are you tuning your calls? Are you making sure your batteries are charged? Are you making everything down to the coolers with the breakfast burritos and the Dr. Peppers, and everything is just so itemized out.
And the Jack Link's jerky.
Jack Link's jerky, Troy, if you're listening. But Jared, you know what I'm saying? Tell me how important organization is to your daily success.
It goes back to what we talked about earlier. I mean, we control everything we can't control. You can't control the weather, and you can't control the ducks. You can't control the water when it gets a drought season, or you can't control it whenever it's flood season. So you have to do your best to manage all that stuff. So we control everything that we can from the time you get there to the blinds to make sure the equipment. Well, you can't have a Ranger axle to go out or something like that. You just can't have not top of the line stuff. So it's all got, and it goes back from the coolers to the blinds to everything, and I appreciate you saying that, it runs like it's an operating room, but you've been there enough behind the scenes on a 2 or 3 day hunt to see, it's controlled chaos. One of our mottos is never let them see you sweat. So it is a lot of stuff that goes on.
What is your other motto?
At the duck shed.
What is your other motto though about preseason and in the off season?
The key to a good hunting season is a better off season.
I love that. And I think that when you were talking right there, I was kind of picturing my last hunt there and just the amount of freaking fun we have. I don't know if you could get more Razin and Leith Lofton and the Troy Lynx and how quick we talked about this with Vandemore a little bit ago about how fast you become friends with somebody in a duck blind. And I don't know, it probably took about 35 seconds for everybody to, Drew and Troy were at each other's throat, and Jared's kind of over there in the corner, but he'd throw one in here, a little jab here and there. And then all of a sudden, it's like cell phones are exchanged, pictures are being exchanged, and memories are being made, and stories are being told. Jared, give me an idea, because I remember watching you go through a sequence of preparation that you do every morning. First off, you're the head guide. You're the guy that kind of points the guides in the direction that they're going to go the next morning. You and Drew work together on this. Maybe give us a little background of what you do, your position is there, and then let's roll into a gear list, because that's what this wildfowl, what we've called the Bible of duck and goose hunters has become. I truly think, and I don't use that term lightly, I always say that because I understand religion, so I don't just throw around the word Bible, but it really has become that sacred to duck and goose hunters to get this in their mailbox. So what do you do, Jared, for Honey Break? And let's start off with some of the key components of gear that you have in your bag and what kind of bag you use for that matter.
Yeah. Well, to start off, as Drew said, the key to the season is off season. Teamwork makes the dream work. And we got some great hands and great guides. We've probably got the strongest group of guides that we've ever had. They're strong. We all get along great in this teamwork. And there's no such thing in this business as because we all do it together. Everybody puts in what they have to put in. And I explained to that there's no place in the country I know that they could go work and have as good as gear and equipment as they got. And we're lucky to work for a place like that and have the right people to give it to us, and the owners and the general managers and the CEOs that take care of us. If we need it, we get it. And as I've always said, for 60 days, I just say 60 days, but we don't have no room for mistakes, and our guides know that. So we get to try to run the best equipment, the best of all of it, because we don't want no mistakes. That's from a boat to a UTV to our mojos, to our gear, to our dogs, and everything's worked on all season to get ready for that 60 days of going hard. And what I do there is I'm a habitat manager, and I play with the dogs all the time. And just every day I try to make it so if this blind shot this many last year, I'd like to shoot one more the next year out of it. Just improve. And no matter how good it was, just be a little bit better the next year. And it's a big piece of property, and you never caught up, but you just work hard, and what you put in, it's what you're going to get back out of it. And I've always said it's one of the best places in the world to hunt, and it's not no place like it that I've ever been to. And,
and I think one thing that I want to touch on, Jared and Drew, is we've mentioned decoys, we've mentioned UTVs, we've mentioned boats, the big picture stuff, right? You got your gun. I know what gun you guys shoot. I know what ammo you guys shoot. Let's talk about the components that might not be looked at as important as your Super Black Eagle 3 or your Polaris Ranger or your boat and motor, right? Let's start with when we leave the lodge, we're headed out to the boat ramp in a UTV. So this is a very key deal of having our gear organized, because timing's everything. You can't have a guy that's got stuff thrown out all over, which we saw that last year with Artie when he couldn't even figure out how to put his waders on at first because he woke up a little late. But the organization, right? So we've mentioned this bag many times in the last year amongst us three by Banded, this backpack, right? So you guys use this backpack. It's very...
I'm a backpack guy.
I'm a backpack guy too. So let's start with our backpack. Skip, are you a backpack guy?
Absolutely. I found out long ago they'd give me these a lot of trips. They'd give me these little blind bags and stuff. And when you got a camera, a thermos, a spare jacket, a place to put the jacket when it gets warm, and on, stuff for your dog. Yeah, your average blind bag needs to be a suitcase for it to work, and then it's hard to carry. So yeah. I'm a backpack guy from way back. Yeah, some of the new ones have good places for your shotgun shells and everything. And gunslings, they're wonderful.
Okay, so Jared, going off of what Skip just said, and we've agreed that we like backpacks. I like a blind bag. I use blind bags a lot of the times when I'm field hunting. Easier for me to hide and keep kind of in the right spot. And I don't have nearly as much stuff in the field as I do when I'm hunting over water. What would you say is on the top or the tip of your tongue right now, Jared Mophett, that's in this backpack when you leave the lodge?
When I leave the lodge, I'm gonna have around 42 to 50 items in that backpack. But the first thing, and I got a routine that I go through every evening, and then that morning you spend in our guide room, our lockers is there, and everything's neat and organized and hung in the right place. But that blind bag's gonna have the duck calls, and the side pocket is going to have an extra set of duck calls, and that's the whole waterfowl calls, from a 6-in-1 whistle to a speck call to a teal call. The whole setup that you use every day, I'm going to have an extra one in there just in case something happens and I did make a mistake and forget it. I'm going to have an e-collar in there for my dog, and I'm going to have my dog whistle, but I'm going to have 2 extra dog whistles in there. I'm going to have 2 sets of gloves, a set of decoy gloves and a set of regular gloves. I'm going to have...
Because he gets a little cold.
Yeah. I'm going to have a rag in there to wipe my hands off. I'm not going to leave it. And then I'm going to have an extra white rag in there to make a cast to a dog if you're in the shadows. And I got a list here of this 42 things that I had in my blind bag.
Wait, say that again, 42.
42 items, from zip ties to electrical tape to bandages to a tool set. And we're lucky where we hunt because we're on private land.
That's what I was just talking about.
We hunt a lot of the same blinds every day that are real productive. So in these blinds, we have a dry box or a shelf too that's got gun oil on it, in it, extra batteries for mojos, extra mojo parts, decoy twine for jerk strings.
So where we used to carry first aid kits and tool kits in our backpacks or hunting public land or whatever, now we have the tool kits in the boat, the first aid kits in the boat. There's one in the Ranger, same way, and there's a first aid kit in the blind.
Why all the extras? Do pros even drop their duck calls or forget something once in a while, so you always have a backup?
That's right. Or you get there and you got a buddy in the blind with you, or 2 guides, one of them say, "Oh, I forgot my calls." You may not have made the mistake, but he may make the mistake. Yeah. Same thing as a dog whistle or something. You say, "Oh, I forgot my dog whistle." You reach in that bag and say, "We all use the same one. Here, use this one and keep it." And it's just...
And look, it could be on the way to the blind that one of the guys calls Jerry and say, "Look, hey, I left, it's just weird. I left my calls. But you got that backup out there. It might be where, I left my dog collar, or my dog collar's dead. I forgot to put it on charge, whatever. That's the controlled chaos. That's behind the scenes that you don't see. That would make everything go smooth.
And when you start talking about the dog collars and everything that's in that bag, this becomes a nightly ritual all of a sudden also, right? Because now you got to unpack stuff to recharge
if you put everything in there that night, then you might change. We've changed blinds, so I know I don't need that stuff in that blind. So you can take some of that stuff out of your blind the next morning.
And then sometimes you might be going to a mallard hole to where you're going to be hanging your bag, but you might not have
take a lot of stuff out of your blind.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit lightened up, but you're not going to need as much. But now back to the list of 42 items in this backpack. This seems like a lot to me.
But it's a lot for the clients. So like face paint and a face mask for the clients. We're not going to do that, but we know how to sit still and look under the brim of your hat. That's why I wear that round hat, so I can look under the brim at my ducks. Well, they're like, man, why are they flying away? Well, try this face mask on, buddy.
During COVID, people are going to wear masks a little bit easier for you, Drew.
Right, that's right.
And it's a lot. Some of them are just small items. I'm going to have at least one set of sunglasses in there, maybe two.
That's one thing I do like about that bandit bag. It's got the place for you.
I'm going to have at least one bottle of Tylenol or some kind of medicine in there. I'm going to have,
earplugs for your client.
Earplugs, a little thing of bandage out for if a dog or a client cuts his finger on a gun or a malfunction or anything like that. If you need it, I'm going to try to have it in that bag.
Early teal season, you're going to have off. You're going to have a thermocell. You're going to have all that good stuff.
Yeah, so you're covering the whole gamut from first aid to mosquito repellent, and then all of a sudden you have another living organism in the blind with the dog. Give me an idea, Jared, of some of the things in there besides the e-collar and the remote. Are there dog snacks? Are there medicines is there stuff that's in there specifically for your dog?
Well, mostly for my dog in there. I'm gonna have the whistle, as I said. I'm gonna have an e-collar. A lot of times I have an extra e-collar, but I'm going to have a supplement for it.
I keep a tube of that. What's that?
Ultra gel, just a supplement. Some kind of supplement for it. Years ago, we just used honey for sugar, and stuff. So if that dog in cold weather or lots of retrieves or whatever, you got something to get its blood flow back and get him back going. We're always going to have some guys use a jar of peanut butter or a honey bun, but we're going to have some kind of supplements for our dogs. And a lot of them are in the blinds, in the dry box, but you're going to have one thing, a bandage out in case you get a cut on a dog or something. And that's where I'm saying we're lucky. A lot of that stuff we don't have to just pile in our blind bag because we have them in every individual blinds. As you've seen, they're pretty large blinds, so you've got a dry box or a shelf and all that stuff.
So the last time it snowed was like 1991 or 93. And then Chad comes in there the first time it snows. I said, hey, man, just letting you know, this is not normal. I know it is where you are, but this is not normal for us. We had airboat throttle cables were frozen, boats or steering cables were frozen. I mean, just breaking ice. So 2 years in a row, he's come down here and it snowed or iced up. And so back to the dog, you got to pick it up. We got a big group going out on one of your hunts, and you're picking up 36 to 48 ducks, and trying to keep your dog warm. That's why I keep that. Supplement, whatever that supplement is there, to give them a little shot to keep that metabolism up.
Good thing about that is the gators aren't out, or at least they're really slow if they are.
That's exactly right. That's exactly.
Is that another reason you don't let discourage clients from bringing in dogs? I know you've got some gator stories.
No, the main thing is just the socialization. I mean, it was just like Chad first time he came here. He didn't know when to call the ducks, to call the shot, and using his call. So it's just socialization. You got to get used to it.
And since then, Skip, I want you to know that now Jared points out that Chad will call the shot on every flock because of the footage that we get. Are you wearing shorts, Drew? Did you see those thighs right there, Skip?
Never seen them without camo.
It's 106 degrees down here with this humidity right now. It's heat wave. Yeah.
So
it's a 3 outfit day if you go outside here.
Sweating, sweating. I think that the main thing that I'm getting out of this is the secret to success, Skip, is organization. And I'm picturing Jared on a Monday night. Is there a transition day to where there's no groups, or is it 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
7 days a week.
So think about that, Skip, the organization that it takes with the tiredness, the early mornings, the late nights, the scouting. It's not easy to stay that prepared and that organized. And that's the mindset. It's the execution after the pre-gaming and putting the game plan into effect. And that's what Honey Break does. And when you're going through this gear issue, to everybody out there listening, look at what these guys are talking about. I mean, they're talking about these items in Skip's magazine down to a detailed T, crossing their T's and dotting their I's the night before every single hunt. And these guys they're pros. So if you're going to be successful at this game, that's what we want to get out of this, right? Skip, is for the listener to say, man, I'm going to start doing a better job of getting my blind bag or my backpack the night before and making sure that I'm covered, whether it's extra stuff like Mophett keeps talking about, whether it's supplement like Drew talks about for his dog, whether it's a pair of sunglasses. How important is eye safety? It's huge. Hearing safety, everything that we take for granted on a hunt, everything that I've watched Drew and Jared do over the last 5 years and the success we've had down there and the stories that we've written down there is parlayed because of preparation, Skip, and organization that nobody sees. You don't see Jared late up at night. I don't even know if you've ever even filmed that for the Honey Break experience of Jared putting everything into his backpack for the next morning hunt and the execution and the planning that takes. I think that is key in the success of Honey Break.
Well, it's only a 26-minute episode, so you don't have time to do it.
You can't, yeah, I'd probably take up the whole deal. You'd have to put one of those really fast time lapses on it. Yeah. But I think that's what I'm getting out of this, guys, is that everybody sees a blind bag and everybody's carrying one out there and you pull the lanyard out of it, but what else is in there? What else do we have in there? I mean, I got things down in there that are multi-tools and knives and snacks and jerky.
We got all that on it. You got to have that.
Okay, so let's go through it. Let's go through it. We don't have to discuss them, but let's go 1 through 42. Is that fair, Skip, to listen to the Honey Break gear list going into this into opening up the gear issue?
I love it because they're covering all the hardcore stuff. Like I carry a gun tool and I carry binos because I'm a duck queer and I want to see everything out there.
They're on the list.
Yeah, I can go through it right quick.
Yeah, no, you don't have to go quick. Just just name them off. I want to hear what every. I want to hear.
You don't have to go into detail. Just run them out.
Well, we carry a banded air dry backpack. It's got all the pockets, the side pockets, the sunglass holder. I mean, it's right. It's built right. It's a good piece of equipment, In our blind bag, we're going to have an e-collar for the dog. We're going to have our duck calls, which is all our waterfowl calls, from the speck call to the blue-winged teal call to the 6-in-1 whistle. We're going to have an extra full set of them in a pocket somewhere. We're going to have a face mask or face paint for our clients, if they need it. We're going to have a duck tote to put our birds on. We're going to have an extra duck tote. I carry 2 duck totes and an extra in the side pocket. We're going to have at least a set of gloves, 2 sets of gloves, and some decoy gloves. We're going to have medicine in there for the dog and the clients, which could be aspirin or Tylenol or whatever, probably some kind of antibiotic ointment or Neosporin. You're going to have chapstick in there we're going to have electrical tape. We're going to have a bandage wrap for a dog or a cut finger or a cut arm. It's going to be a first aid kit in every blind or the boat, so that's going to be with us. We're going to have a tool set, which is everybody's got their own little tool set. It's an 8-inch crescent, a pair of pliers, 2 screwdrivers, but the boat's going to have a dry box in it that's going to have a full tool set. So you got backup. You're going to have a pocket knife. You're going to have zip ties. You're going to have gun oil. You're going to have dog whistles and 2 extra dog whistles. You're going to have a set of earplugs. You're going to have a rechargeable spotlight with flashlights in there with it. You're going to have, as I carry, a small towel because your hands is wet all the time to keep them dry and warm, and also to cast your dog with. I carry a white one for long retrieves, but the keep in there as a white earplugs. I done named that.
You named earplugs?
Yep. Earplugs. Right
off, there. Bug spray.
Yep. We're going to have off and bug spray, insect spray right there for off. We're going to have dog supplements, something just so if your dog gets down or needs a little energy or something like that, is give it something to put in its body. We pack a tube with us. We're going to have a few extra mojo parts with us, probably in the blind, in the dry box, or we're going to have them in our bag, with batteries, one extra battery at all times for a mojo in the blind and one in your blind bag posted, just in case you hunt till 11 and one goes down. We're going to have it.
That's when Chad steps on the wings,
Yep. Or if something happens to one in the boat, somebody steps on it or something. We're going to have a lighter or two in our bag in case having to light a heater or just anything happens, you need a fire. It's going to be in there. We're going to have a set of sunglasses in there, the 2 sets. So we usually have a bottle or 2 of water in there, but we're lucky and we take out an ice chest, as you've seen every day, a cooler that's got breakfast burritos, waters, jerky, hand warmers, everything's in there. But we're going to have hand warmers in our blind bags, And as I said before, we're going to have, most people's going to have a roll of toilet paper in there. So if somebody gets in the bind,
he looked at Drew and he said that.
Insurance papers.
Yep. We're going to have all of us is going to have probably 10 bird tags in our bag with an ink pen and markers to tag our birds if we separate or come out different or whatever, to tag our birds when we leave. We're going to have, we're going to have a set of binoculars in there for looking out for lone cripples or watching geese across the tree line. You can just hand them down the blind and let people look through them and use your binoculars. And you're going to have plenty of shells. We're going to pack what we think we're going to need to shoot our limit, and then we're going to have an extra box or 2 in case a group
for
of
kids
clients,
don't bring 20 gauge with them.
And that's what we do. We lucky enough to have the big blinds. We may have a case set off back to the side, a few 20 gauge shells in there, a few 12 gauge, different sizes and loads and all that stuff. So we're going to have a little roll of garbage bag. Most guys going to keep 2 heavy duty garbage bags in his blind bag and then a full roll in each blind for cleaning up or
picking your holes up,
lots of issues you can use. And we talking about this. Hey, if I was public hunting and I wasn't going to the same blinds, 50 different blinds daily that's got all, or in a year, and it's got all that, you may have a compass in there. You got a GPS. You got maps. I'm going to have technology's different now, but I want every one of my guides, they can look it up on their phone, but I want them to have a regulation pamphlet in there. So if something they say, oh,
is it 2 pintails
I was hunting in Mississippi last year, and you kill 2 canvasbacks in Louisiana this year or 1? They can look at that and make 100%. They know that anyhow, but if a client or something says, well, I thought it was 2. No, it's 1. It's right here. I just pulled it out and showed it to you. So that's about 40-something items right there that's in my blind bag.
It's I love hearing the list, and when a few of them stuck in my head, the totes and the game tags. A question on.
So your toilet paper's got a circle around it, number 28.
You
we
hit
can
on
tell jokes about that, but we're not going to discuss all that.
I love those
baby
kind of
wipes
stories.
and acid wipes.
Yeah.
How important we've talked about earlier.
I do need to tell that story. Well, real quick. So this guy, it was New Year's Day, and these 2 kids, Dad was supposed to come, Dad didn't come. Whatever happened, couldn't make the trip. He brought his other 18-year-old buddy with him. Well, they enjoyed the festivities a little too much on New Year's Eve, and so they were going with me. So Mississippi had been going with me, so I'd be keeping, the
acid wipes,
Windex, with ammonia wipes to wipe the blood off the deer for shooting the recovery. Well, I walked across there, dropped them off, put them in the blind, walked all across. It's rutted up, way bad rutted up in the south hole, and I'm easing back across there. I get to the blind, dude's like, hey man, you got any toilet paper in that bag? That bag's heavy. Yours. I know I don't have any in here, but I've got some in the buggy. So I go back and get it for you. It's kind of rough. Oh, I can't make it. I can't wait. I got to go. So he across the things, falls in a couple of times, gets over there. He comes back walking real slow.
Oh,
what's
God.
going on? I said, there's some wet ones in he said, what kind of wet ones did you have? And I said, I've had toilet paper. I didn't have those were ammonia wipes. I get back after the hunt, and he used the whole bag of wet wipe, Windex wipes with ammonia. It was burning down there.
Oh my gosh.
His backside had never been so clean though.
No watermarks at all. How important, Jared, we talked about earlier in a podcast about mentorship and recruiting new people into this game. And one of the things that's tough about waterfowling is what you touched on with the laws, the regulations, the licensing, the limits in Mississippi compared to a neighboring state of Louisiana. Arkansas is different. Missouri, Southeast Missouri is different. You travel from state to state. You guys hunt Louisiana pretty much the entire year, but you guys travel also for turkeys. Well, at least Drew does. Jared wouldn't walk across the street for a turkey or a 195-inch whitetail. If it ain't a duck, it ain't getting killed by Jared Mophett, unless his family's hungry. But Jared, give me some insight on why the tags, why all the duck straps, why is there such thing as a possession limit in the blind? How does all of that work? And is that the guide's responsibility, or is that each client's responsibility to know what they're shooting and when they've reached their limit and such? Is that dictated in the blind by the blind leader or the head guide?
That's what they paying us for. That's why they come in there.
The client, it goes down to the client, but a lot of the clients, are first-time hunters and or don't know about, this, that, and the other. So it's legally, we just don't want to have we don't want to be in the gray area, because game wardens have a lot of gray area. And so if we can do anything to be ahead of that curve, to be in the black, or black and white, we want to be on the upside of things and not have anything left to question. We actually took Dave Roram, retired federal game warden, federal agent, and big time dog trainer now. Took him hunting, was it year before last? 2 years. And he was like, I bet y'all don't ever see the game warden out here. He said, I'm a retired federal agent, and said, from you not blowing your duck call, from you not letting us load the guns up until shooting time, to who killed that duck and putting it on a separate lanyard with that. So this red is going to be Dave's, blue is going to be Drew, yellow is going to be Jared, green's going to be Chad. Everybody gets their ducks going on a different strap, being legal, and that's something that we over strive to make sure there's not any kind of gray area, because you can get them by.
Skip,
if you leave, if we leave and all the ducks go on my ranger, out with me, just me and you, and there's 10 other guys that were in there with us, and we have a 12 possession limit, and we riding out. If we get pulled over, all those ducks have to be tagged, or we're liable because we shot them over the limit. So
tagged with each separate hunter's name and license number and everything.
Right. Yep.
What makes waterfowling so spectacularly fun and interesting and compelling is the myriad of species. That also creates the big challenge in keeping everything straight, especially when you have an overcast sky. It's 20 minutes past shooting light, and you're looking at black silhouettes going by. It's
wing beats and silhouettes. Wing beats and silhouettes.
What we touched on in the past, Skip, is how important what Jared and Drew does, right? How important is this ability for a father to take his son and see it done right? Skip, answer that question. How important is it for that guy to come out of North Carolina, South Carolina? They've been walking creeks for wood ducks for 8 years. They finally get a chance to come to Louisiana and see mallards and sprig and widgeon and teal and canvasbacks do it like ducks do on a sunny day with a 15-mile-an-hour breeze, sun at your back. How important is it for that kid and that dad to see it done right? With all of this, what we're discussing, Skipper, of the organization being the key to Jared and Drew's success and the whole Honey Break family and crew, isn't that key, Skip, that we have these people out there that we can actually go and learn from on a daily basis just by picking up the phone or getting online and booking a hunt with them? We could literally advance ourselves in a matter of days. A 3-day experience at Honey Break, we can learn what a college education couldn't teach a duck hunter. You understand what I'm saying?
And we're talking about that with the Wentz brothers, Carson and Zach, and how they'd hunted for years. They're not hardcore at all in the waterfowl world, but just having two really quality experiences, the kind that you can have at Honey Break, really seeing ducks be ducks at daybreak and everything done right instead of just seeing them flying by or on the water or whatever, creates a lasting impression that can absolutely hook someone for life. And the other thing you were talking about, walking creeks for wood ducks, when you just do the same thing in the same area forever and ever, you can get tired of it. You can lose a little bit of interest, certainly when you're a teenager and just got your driver's license, right? But going someplace like Honey Break and seeing it done at a whole nother level, as we say down south, it can absolutely hook someone for life, and it's critical. Plus you're learning to do it right, Chad, you and I talked earlier about what's so wonderful about this sport is you never stop learning. You never could. When I hear someone like you guys talk about duck calls, it's mind blowing. You learn something every single time. Chad was talking about the different moving the fat in your mouth, the fatty parts of your mouth around to manipulate the call, and I never heard that. mean, you just never stop learning, and that's a big part of it. And when you get immersed in a place like Honey Break, you can learn a whole lot real quickly about how it's done right. Plus, I've never been there without having a bonus good time. As hard as they work, those guides, I've often said I'm not tough enough to be a guide. And, get up in the middle of the night, get up at 4, and then scout till dark. Drew is always he's a consummate outdoorsman and extremely competent in everything he's done. I see him do from rattling deer and snort wheezing deer and things that I can't do. It's amazing. Or catching live hogs. He always is game like a big kid to go out and have a little bit of extracurricular fun, even if it's just sitting there catching catfish off the dock or bow fishing. And all of those things are part of what people get really hooked on the outdoors. And, with my ADD, I love to do cast and blast and multiple things when I have the opportunity. And Honey Break's amazingly unique that way. And they also have some youth programs they've been working on, Drew told me about last time. So they have maybe a kid who's not there to hunt in a different time of year, they could show them wood duck boxes or create some interest in some other ways. They have an amazing opportunity, though.
Just trying to introduce them to the outdoors in a positive way. Let them know that we're not all bad.
Yeah, and I think that
if they don't become outdoorsmen and women, at least they'll become boaters. They'll protect our way of life.
Yeah, I love hearing that. And that's the thing is if you're going to be anti, at least be an educated anti. At least understand the compassion, the heart of a hunter, the conservation, the sweat equity. But the one thing about the gear and the one thing about Honey Break and being around a crew like them, Skip, what I get out of it is nothing. You can't take anything for granted in life, let alone life, but in waterfowl hunting. Like, is it easy to drive a 4-wheeler or a UTV like Drew and Jared drive it on the roads, the ruts, the mud, the hard ground, the soft ground, where to go, how to navigate that? Then you get in a boat. Is it as easy as they make it look, Skip? Is this sport easy? It is so difficult. I don't want to paint this picture like, oh yeah, everything that you see Drew and Jared doing on the Honey Break experience on Realtree 365 is easy. It's not. Okay. I'm not saying that getting up in a tree stand and pulling back a bow like Michael Waddell does so vividly and keeping your composure and your breath and your breathing and sticking that arrow that's hard as heck too. But waterfowling has so many moving parts, and Honey Break exemplifies every single one of those moving parts. And on top of that, they have to make sure that their clients are happy when they leave there, so the word of mouth marketing spreads, which it has like wildfire through our country over the last decade. So Skip, my point is it that easy to drive a boat in a 4-wheeler and be that safe in a blind and have that badass of a dog and have that blind bag so organized? It's not. It's about passion and love and preparation and vision and being able to visualize the hunt. And that's what Jared has showed me through my podcasting with him, is that you look at Jared and you're like, wow, man, that guy runs a dog. Oh, no, he doesn't just run a dog. Oh shit. He's a freaking master trainer. Whoa. He's doing this with a duck call. Whoa. He's that him and Drew can emulate the teal. Then all of a sudden the divers come in, they emulate the divers. Then they hit the whistle and then the sprig fly over. And it's a pleasure to see all of these moving parts become so proficient as their oils are being thrown at that canvas that we talk about, Skip. And that's what waterfowling is to me. Jared is a masterpiece of, he's showing me something.
Severe heat advisory.
Severe heat advisory. So I think that what we got out of it, Skip, is you can have all the gear in the world, but if you're not organized and well thought out with that gear and know how to execute with it, like right now, I'll be the first one to admit that I have a lot of tools, but I am the most is it unhandy? Well, you're a literary guy. Is it unhandy?
Use them real well.
I could take this camera out in this shop right here, and you would think that I'm either Tim Allen in Home Improvement or I am Jesse James making unbelievable custom cars. I don't know how to do either one. So to be that all around Renaissance duck hunter, which I call these guys all the time, you guys have heard me say that is so key. I've often said, man, I want to become a better boat operator. I want to become a better UTV driver. It's not as easy as you guys make it look. And that's why
I think we've had some pretty good video of you at White Oaks trying to park the boat. Didn't it?
No, that was funny. That was Prairie Wings.
Did the dog finally get out?
That was the motor. That was a bad motor. No, Brandon Adams, our investor in Bannon, he goes, pull over, I'm getting out.
Skip, you seen the Send It videos of people trying to back the boat down? Well, he's trying to get the boat back over to the dock, and he's spinning around.
And that's what
I look like Austin Powers in the 18-point turn.
I said this earlier in the deal here. I said I think we got as strong a team as we've ever had. We all do great, and you said it a while ago. I've probably had over the years of probably 5 at least guides that were great guides, but then when they would come to honey break in 2 or 3 days, they would say, "Hey, I probably need to go home."
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's too many moving parts here. I'm not good at running a boat. I don't understand this mud. I don't know how to read water when I'm running through it if it's real. I don't know how to read grass. I can blow the mess out of a duck call, but if the motor don't crank, I don't know how to fix it. That's improvised.
We've just grown up around that.
And that's what I was getting to. A lot of it is if you've been raised up around.
Right.
Are you good at all that?
It's not so much epic duck hunting skills. It's outdoorsman. So it's if you gotta be a basic small engine mechanic. You got to be a first aid, CPR trained. I mean, you got to, as far as the boat, everything from the regulations on the boat. Making sure your running lights work. I mean, we're hunting on private ground. It's not that big of a deal. But if we go to Catahoula or something like that, if you're hunting public ground or whatever, you got to make sure your running light is higher than the highest part of your boat. There's all those different things. You got to have a throw cushion. All those different things. And back to what you talked about earlier. So us making it look good or making it look easy. A lot of times nowadays you see the public land hunters and they got their and daddy's money with their new jacked up truck and their new War Eagle boat or whatever duck boat they have and their mud surface drive or whatever they've got. And just this last year, my nephews up in Monroe were hunting wham break, and there was a guy that left out of the boat ramp and his boat died. So he's in the channel. And it's a channel. It's not. It's a marsh, but they got real grass on both sides of the channel. They come blazing around there in a new 18-foot mud boat, ramps over the guy, just about kills him. Wrecked the boat, tore all the pieces of it with like brand spanking new. So it's, even though the equipment is good, you still have to be a safe and responsible operator.
And I think that's what I'm taking out of this is that you haven't even mentioned what you're doing right now. Like I've seen Drew on dozers. I've seen you guys on excavators. I've seen you in dump trucks. I've seen you pulling 40-foot trailers with pipeline on it. I've seen you digging trenches. This lifestyle is so freaking awesome and special. And if somebody could come down there and just mentor you guys, not mentor you, but shadow you guys in an internship, right?
Apprenticeship, yeah.
Like an apprenticeship program. That's a better way to say it. Just think about that, Skip Knowles. If you could send 2 lucky wildfowl readers on an apprenticeship program to Honey Break to learn that when they're shooting ducks like they're going out of style, like Hank Williams Jr. song says about catching fish like they're going out of style and whistling Dixie, that's what these guys do, but they shoot ducks like they're going out of style. But why? It's what's going on right now in June and July on excavators in 95-degree heat and heat warnings on his iWatch that I can't believe that true. I didn't even know that iWatches were in Louisiana yet. I thought that you guys just got color TV down there.
We just got these last week.
But you know what I'm saying, Skip Knowles? Is like you watch TV and you see the success, and the first comment that'll come to us is, well, anybody can kill them on private property. And I'll be the first one to go, I'm very humbled to be able to hunt at Honey Break. I'm very humbled to be able to come down there and have the friendships that we have and be invited around and meet somebody like Miss Shelley and learn how to cook squirrel. I'm very...
Speaking of that, coming new this year, did I send you the picture of the new Honey Break cracklings we got coming? Big crackling pot, but we just ordered a new tamale maker. So we'll have deer tamales.
Deer tamales and cracklings?
Oh yeah.
So the overall thing, Skip, is think about that of everything that they have going on. And I don't want anybody just to go, well, anybody could kill ducks there. No, it's about all the work that goes into making sure that those ducks even like what they see when they finally do migrate to that part of Louisiana. And these guys
have gone through from every duck blind and duck call and decoy spread and blind
from Canada down there.
From Canada to the tip. It's you got to make sure your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted.
And I think that the gear issue exemplifies that, Skip Knowles, is that when a reader picks it up, I want him to have a mindset of, if I buy that piece of gear, that's not going to make me proficient with it. It's not going to make me the best duck hunter in the world. Just because I can blow an unbelievable feed cut chuckle and a chatter and a comeback call, and I won the Louisiana State, that doesn't mean that I can do what Jared Mophett and Drew Keith do. It doesn't mean that. I want the young people that write into me and say, how do I get a job in that industry? How do I do what you're doing, Chad? The first thing I tell them is get educated, learn how to talk to people, learn how to network, learn how to follow through, shake hands, do what you say you're going to do, really, really get into that business sense. And then, develop the skills of what it takes. Because if Jared had a shitty personality and he didn't have any social skills or people skills, but he could blow the heck out of a duck call and run a dog, he could probably get tipped a little bit. He could probably make a living being a guide. But because they're wired the way they are, and they can do all of the things that we've talked about with this gear list, Skip, that's what makes this overall lifestyle and encompassing that we're talking about. It makes it so special to me, is that you could take it for granted any day of the week and say, oh, if you put me at Honey Break right now, Chad Belding in Reno, Nevada, if you put me at Honey Break for the 60-day season, I will throttle their butts every day, and that is not the case. There is so much that goes into that lifestyle, Skip, that this magazine helps people get started with, and that's what the Gear Issue is all about, is listening to this podcast after they read the magazine and know that, hey, it's a never-ending learning journey. You cannot quit learning. Drew is 40, my age at 45. Jared is, how old are you, Jared? 38?
43.
43. Skip, you just turned 60. You just went on AARP card at Denny's.
Skip. I've been on one for a long time.
Skip, think about how excited this conversation is. And we're in our 40s. Wow. Think about being 20 and just starting this journey right now and having this content available to give us a little bit of head start into this, to know that the little things matter, the bandages for your dog and the extra set of sunglasses and the extra duck call. Think about how important that is, Skip, if we had this kind of mentorship back when we started. We were wearing, I started when I was 27 and I was nowhere near this able to get this kind of content. That's why the Gear Issue is so special and has become the Bible of duck and goose hunters. And I guarantee you that if you walk into Honey Break Lodge, you're going to see wildfowl in the lodge. Am I right, Drew?
You're right.
You're going to see it. So
you have to have magazines at Honey Break, because generally after about 9 a.m. there's not a whole lot left to do because you've done Wednesdays.
That's right.
But these guys, man, they do make everything look so easy, and it's deceiving. You can watch the show and think, I could do that. No, you couldn't. Not when you run over. You're going to replace the crop for the third time this season and all this kind of stuff. But and as important as that skill set is, just as important is having people skills. And I've seen that a lot on the fishing side. You get guys who are just murderously good fishermen, but they're hotheads. They're so fiercely driven. What makes them good fishermen is being fiercely driven makes them impatient and bad people person. You got to keep your head about you. You were talking about how hard this sport can be to master all the skill set they're talking about, being a small motor mechanic and everything. Hell, it can be very difficult just to walk sometimes down there. I've seen it. Rider hunts and guided hunts, and some guys, and a guy doesn't know how to react when a guy can't walk because the bottom's so muddy. One place was all like cratered and weird, and guy fell in the water, it's freezing, and do you take him back, or do you ruin everyone else's hunt? You got to have a different skill set than dealing with people. But as far as magazines, man, I love being around these kind of guys, because magazines hinge on credibility. That's all we have. I can't put everything in the Gear Issue. You couldn't fit every duck call in one 180-page magazine. We have to pick and choose. But when you see these kind of guys with that skill set who do it so much, and they're using something, they're using it for one reason. It works.
Well, I think you have a great segment right here, Skip, to ride on. And I'm being for real, is that you need to put together a section in September or October as the season gets maturing this year in the fall, is the Honey Break backpack blind bag and what is in there, because they covered it from A to Z
many times, even going into our on our Pro Shop website. This is here's what's in Jared's bag. Here's what's in Drew. Whatever. Just taking the bag, dumping it out, and going through labeling all the stuff and what it is. And
I think that you need to get that in the book, Skip, and online, so people have an idea of what it takes to be successful. Because it's not about just a lanyard with bands all over it. Okay, I see a guy take that lanyard out and it's got a lot of bands on there. I love it. It's awesome. It tells a story. Don't know how you got them all. Doesn't matter. It's not my call. All I know is that there's way more to this lifestyle than that lanyard full of bands. And what they mentioned today is key. And we didn't talk about a lot of the fun stuff. Skip. We didn't talk about Benelli. We didn't talk about what we can do in these boats and these. I mean, we mentioned them, but think about it. We didn't talk about ammo and Benelli and guns and the big stuff, right? We talked about the little intricate details of this puzzle. So I think it's a heck of a segment, Skip Knowles. I think that you should get with these two gentlemen and put together the Honey Break Experience blind bag and just let them talk about what little things it takes to breed consistency, because that's everything, Jared. You cannot have one great day and bank your whole season on it, because you're going to have some lulls, man. You're going to have them days where you're like, man, they got me. And you got to figure out how to learn and be a sponge and take something out of that day. And it might be as simple as knowing that you took pride in your blind bag and your gear and everything that goes into your gun case and your preparation and your maintenance, and making sure that the next day is better than today was. And I think that that's what Jared and Drew and the whole Honey Break family have truly mastered. And they're still learning, but I'm telling you, they have I don't know if there's a better place to go. I mean, I'm not afraid to say the top ones in the country. Here's the top 3 waterfowl guide services in the country, and I've been to one of them. Honey Break, Habitat Flats, Hooray Ranch. I've never been to Hooray, but I've heard that they got it going on. Don't know for personally. Skip, you might. I love what Tony Vandemore and the McCauley's have done with Habitat Flats. Huge, mad love and respect for them. Never been there personally, but I've been to Honey Break for the last 5 years, and I'm absolutely engulfed in the entire culture of what they have, from Miss Shelley to Leith playing the guitar to Drew singing too loud to where you can't hear Leith on the microphone most nights. But I mean that. I didn't mean to be funny there. I'm telling you that those are probably the top 3. And I've been to one of them, and this is why the success is there. So I might be onto something there, Skip. I might be off. There might be guide services all over that are just as good. I'm just telling you from personal, experience that Honey Break is at the top of that list. Would you agree with that in your experience, Skip? And if not, where should we go if not Honey Break?
No, you're talking about places with the consummate pros. And again, what I love about Honey Break is it's an immersion in a whole culture, not just ducks. There's so much to do and see down there. And there's that special something about the South, too, from the food and all that. I just love the whole experience so much. But no,
if you don't have a good time, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would agree with your choices, but for sure. I'm not going to let Drew off. I know we're probably winding down before too long, but I'm not going to let Drew off without telling that this is a pretty good example of the kind of thing that can happen down there that you're not going to see in Missouri or Kansas. He heard a little noise under the blind one year, and every time they got in the blind, he kept hearing this noise. I'm not going to spoil it, Drew. You know what I'm talking about.
No, go ahead.
No, I can't tell that story like you. I know you need subtitles and to breathe and talk slower sometimes, but I couldn't match your storytelling. I wouldn't want to try.
Are you talking about the bees that were in there?
No, the big ditch lizard.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the big alligator. Are you talking about?
You told me he had too many stories. You can't remember. You said every time they all got in the blind. Everyone.
Okay. You weren't with me. You talking about when I went and got in the pit?
No,
blind.
I wasn't with you. I'm just talking.
Okay. Yeah. We go get in the pit blind, and I had some clients, and I had some other members that were in the blind. And they said, "Man, there's something going." And the water had come up. We have subfloors in it, and the water was over the subfloor. Well, they got down there, they kept feeling something moving around it. I said, "Look, it's probably a beaver or something that got trapped in there. No big deal." I said, "Just when I get finished with my clients, we'll come over there and check it out." So. It's one of those 12-foot pit blinds and 4-man deal. We go over there, and of course the board was floated up, which at the time we thought it was just the board floated up. But so I go down in the blind and handling my gun and all that kind of stuff, and I thinking it's a beaver or a nutria rat or an otter or something like that. When I raised the 4x8 sheet of plywood up, it was a 7-foot alligator in there. And she was not happy to see me.
What month was this?
This was had been November because it was duck season. I have no idea how long the gator had been in there, but it was rust colored, and his tail had gotten caught under the angle that the subfloor set on, and had actually wore a groove in the hide on the back of this gator. And so it was a what was that show with Tom Cruise in it? When he was
like anybody from Louisiana, you killed it and ate it, right?
Correct. Actually, it was November, so we had to let it go real easy.
How did you do that?
You know, we got to get right. We got to get right. It's not something you see every day. Not something you see every day.
Yeah.
I mentioned that email that I get consistently. How do I get in this industry? How do I become a guide? How do I do what you guys do? I'm sure you guys get flooded with them. I see your guys as people that come into your booth at NWTF and they want to be Jared. They want to be Drew. They want to hunt every day. They want to be providing these stories and success. What do you tell them?
That's the difference, though. I want to say one thing. I'll let him talk to it. But one thing I wish that we could do to the kids nowadays that are coming up, and I mean, I still consider us kids. It's just slower to get out of bed every morning. In our minds, we're still 25. And Jared and I started years ago because we couldn't afford to go. You know, when we were young, little kids, you know, his grandparents were farming, and my dad and grandpa was farming and ranching, and the store here in Jonesville. So we knew everybody. So all we had to do was go talk to them, and they would let us go hunt their property. We'd bring them a mess of ducks or bring them a hind quarter of a deer or whatever, rabbits, whatever we were doing. And then as things started progressing, you know, people started leasing up land. It started shooting up. By the time we get to where we're driving and can go hunting places, you know, we couldn't afford to go hunt the best places. We already hunted all the other public places or somebody's property that, you know, we might have hunted as kids. Now he's leasing it out to somebody. So we started guiding, and we started guiding for tips only. And if you're guiding for tips only, we were that passionate about it. We just wanted to be able to go hunt to good places. And if you didn't have a servant's heart, then you didn't get tipped, you know? And so it was supporting our habit. That's how it started. And it turned into that kind of mentality is what I wish, you know, the kids nowadays, they're so entitled. They're like, well, you know, I need to have a new mojo. Mine fell off the back of the Ranger because I didn't have it strapped down and broke in the middle of the road. I need another one. Well, no, these things aren't, you know, there's money exchange for these things. Well, y'all get this stuff for free. Well, no, there's something, there's gear for exposure and all that kind of stuff exchange. So it's not like I guess that's the most irritating part is the entitlement, you know, thinking that, you know, it's all this stuff is becoming easier, you know, for free and we'll just get another one. And versus, you know, if you have a servant's heart and put that client first, you know, just like you're saying, how do I get to hunt? I want to go hunt every day. Well, it's not about you hunting every day. It's not about you killing every day. It's about that person. You'll be able to read that person and taking him and putting him in a spot where he can have a good experience. And that might be, I just want to watch the sun come up. It might be, I want to shoot one canvasback. I'm ready to go back to the house. It might be, I want to shoot one pintail. Let's go back to the house. It's like, man, you pay, for 6 more or 5 more ducks. You got to know what they're there for, you know, and being able to read that and understand that it's not about you. It's about them. And if you do that, have that mindset and have that work ethic, then you can be successful at it. Any kid, I would say, find somebody, whether they're in a guide service or whether they're the best hunter that you know or best outdoorsman you know, spend as much time as you can with them, you know, in your teens to see how they do it and why they do it before you start trying to go somewhere. And we can run an ad on Monster or anywhere, or any of the job websites and say we're looking for hospitality and somebody housekeeping, and we'll get 1,400 guides saying I'll clean toilets, I'll do whatever just so I can get the guide at home. Well, that's not what we want. We want the best guides, but we also want the best toilet cleaners and the best hospitality people and the best kitchen people and the best house staff. You know, we don't want the guy that's don't even make his bed up when he leaves in the morning, being there saying he's going to make our beds. You know?
No, it makes total sense. And I think that question is asked so much that I don't know if people want the truth, Jared. I don't know if they want you to say, well, if you can blow a duck call or if you can run a short reed goose call, come work for Honey Break. And you just said it yourself that I would be so intimidated if you and Drew called me tomorrow and said, hey, Chad, if you mind taking a year off of the foul life, we want to hire you as a guide. My first thing would be like, heck yeah, Honey Break every day. Miss Shelley Squirrel, heck yeah, I'm in. But then I would go, oh shit, wait a minute. I don't know if I would embarrass myself a little bit on if a boat motor broke down or if I couldn't get out of the ditch when I ran the 4-wheeler in there, the UTV. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot that goes into it. So think about that, Jared, when you answer that same question that you just did. And also on top of it, Skip and I have touched on this, is that we truly are in the golden age of duck hunting. I mean, We have innovation in clothing that lets us stay out there longer, from thermals to layering. It's not the oilcloth pants every day and get soaking wet and have to be out of there by 10 a.m. We could stay all day. We have the best guns, the best ammo, the best boats, the best motors, the best trucks, the best dogs. Dogs have evolved.
Just the boats and motors being able to get to the spots that you couldn't get to.
Yeah, you can access, and we're in the golden age of duck hunting. Plus, there's a lot of birds in the flyways right now. Ducks Unlimited, Delta, California Waterfowl, all Safari Club International. All of these conservation agencies have done a heck of a job in sweat equity. The duck hunter itself and the licenses and the duck stamps we buy goes back to the birds. Jared, all of that in mind, how do we become Jared Mophett? We can't be 43 years old and still love this as much as you say you love this. It's absolutely impossible. Skip doesn't even love it as much as you. I think that you're pulling wool over our eyes, Mophett.
It's the way that it is I tell people, I had a young man coach, I want to be a duck guide. I said, this way in duck guiding, dog training, really anything you do in life, the Lord or whatever, but you find you a mentor, and a mentor that knows what he's doing. And you be a sponge. You watch and you listen to everything he teaches you, taught you, tells you. And if he's the right mentor, he's going to tell you the right way to do it. And you don't second guess it. You may question it and say, well, why this way instead of that way? And he'll explain you to it. You know, we get guides all the time. Well, what if we did it this way? Well, 99% of the stuff at Honey Break, we've tried it.
We can't tell you what to do. We tell you what not to do.
This is the way that it works. And we've had a lot of success doing it this way. And we've tried it just like today. We just discussed it earlier. Today we're doing drawdowns. We're getting water out. We're spraying herbicide. We're spraying insecticide. We're killing red vines. We're killing broadleafs. We're working for desirable seed. We're out there looking at mud flats. We're cutting grass, all of that's fertilizing sunflowers. We're fertilizing duck blinds, and it goes on and on and on for just every day. Like I said, a big piece of paper. Well, you get in that man's pocket, like I try to take my 7-year-old son every day, and if he learns one thing of just yesterday was riding around showing a man sunflower fields, and what made me happy about that day was he said, that's my sunflower field, because he helped me plant it. And he said, that's where we go hunt. That's my sunflower. And another boy that's working for us, a great new guide we got and doing the deer management and this and that. And he said, but I'm hunting it with you. You know, but it's just being a sponge and learning. And I learned that in the dog world in the last 10 years. I've always had my first finished dog 26 years ago. And this and that. What dogs, duck dogs, and dogs that I thought were super nice then are not nice compared to the dogs we got now. But I upped my skill, and I had a great mentors then. But as you were saying earlier, it wasn't stuff online back then and what we're talking about now. If you run into a problem and you didn't know how to fix it, wasn't able to make a phone call, you just beat your head against the wall and said, how do I fix this dog that's popping or cheating, or just goes on, thousands of things. Well, if you got a mentor, or just like a man called me an hour and a half ago and said, hey, what about this millet? It's a little muddy, this and that. Well, if you don't get it in there today, it's not going to peg and sprout, because it's 106 degrees. It's going to be dry tomorrow morning. It needs to be slushy. So that's what I thought. I can't do it till Monday. Well, you just throw and seed away. You might as well wait and drill, plant it, or whatever. But it's mentors. And I can go to a piece of property somewhere, and I tell guides all the time, you can come to Honey Break, but you won't outkill me because you own my dirt. You own my dirt that I've been born, raised in this area. And they say, you may day here a day and there a day, but you've seen that the first couple of years you come in his eyes up, I tell you what to do. And you'd say, well, yeah, but we got to do this. Well, I'll be out by the time you just get started.
That's true.
But it's our dirt, and I have guides come. They say, well, this is the way we do it now. Well, you're not in Kansas no more, as Toto said. You own our dirt. Listen to me. Yeah. I'm mentoring and tell you how it works here. Me and Drew's did it, or this older man's did it. He's farmed this piece of property for 45 years. I can read it in that book and say, well, the book says do it like this. But he failed 15 times or more, or over 50 years doing it that way, and he knows the right way to do it. So the best thing to do is that phone call to him and say, hey, when is the best time to do this? And from experience, he's going to say, this is the best time to do it. And that goes for duck hunting, farming,
Anything.
whatever. It's having the right mentors, the right people. And we said all the time in the guide business, we want three great things, and we want great hospitality to Honey Break, great accommodations, and great duck hunting. And that's what we try to have, and we talked about it earlier. I've had friends of mine that wasn't the best duck caller, didn't eat it, sleep it, and breathe it, walk around every day like I did, thinking how to make something better for duck hunting, think about how to make it easier to put the boat in, take it out, better place to hang your waders, easier place to put your mojo. Their switch turned on about November the 1st, but there was people. They could get a lot of people, loved them. They told jokes in the blind. They just had a great relationship with them. And I would have clients, and even today call back and say, I request him. And they may have killed 10 ducks that morning, and I shot 42. They may have killed 60 in 3 hunts or 4 hunts as on, and I limited every day. But they loved that guide because of their experience with them. That's what we have at Honey Break. That I have 2 farmers, I have a chemical salesman, I have a commercial fisherman, I have just a true, we all love duck hunting, but when these clients come, I can say, well, this man here's coming and he's a chemical salesman and this and that and this, that. He's going to fit great with you. This group here is coming, he's going to fit great with you.
This guy big into offshore fishing. Right?
Next thing you know, they're buddy hunting in the blind. They're not just there on a guided trip, they're buddy hunting, and they become friends for life, like we have, and everything else is the
but the reason that the reason that you're successful is that everything that you just talked about, not once did you mention your blind bag with the gear in it. Everything down to the finest detail of those extra bandages for a cut on a dog's leg because he got wrapped up in something or hit himself on the way out of the blind is why you're able to have that passion. That is just exemplified all the way through every step. Now, with somebody that works as hard as you and Drew do on the dozers and what you just named off what you're doing right now with the pesticides and spraying and mowing and fertilizing, you could take a break, right? You could cut a corner on your blind bag, Jared Mophett, and say, we're covered. You can't. And that's what this whole deal is. You can't cut a corner.
This is the goal of every guy that I hope it works for. So I tell them when that client says, hey, you wouldn't have any of such a sure do.
Sure do.
You mean you got that in it? Yeah, we got it. It's just if they need it, it should be there. We should be able to cater to.
I love it, man. I absolutely love that place. What y'all have done, I don't even know if it was in the cards when you first signed on. I would like to go back to that first meeting when Drew said, oh, yeah, I think we could take that acreage over there and turn into this. And the owners went, really? And then now where it's come in 2020, unfreaking believable what has been done on that piece of dirt. Like special. And not to mention, the entire ecosystem and sustainability of what you guys provide for wildlife in that area, what you've given back to the 4-H, the Future Farmers of America, all of the military, everything that you've done for the Department of Wildlife in Louisiana, easements, what you've done for conservation and giving back land for this study and letting biologists come out. There's so much that happens on that dirt that has way more to do than Black Cloud going through a mallard duck and ended up on a barbecue grill that goes into our bellies to feed us at night. That is the icing on the cake. We love it. We're not going to apologize for harvesting a few of these ducks here and there, but everything that comes out of it, if that was documented the right way, then people would look at it and go, you know what? Hunters are freaking rad. And that's an awesome word, Jared Mophett, rad. You remember that word? I'm rad. It rhymes with my name. I might not be rad, but I'm telling you what you guys have done is rad. And I think that it needs to be told because that is not seen enough. There's so much more than that strap being full of dead ducks. And I know that that's what gets a lot of people off. And I get it. I love to kill. I'm not going to apologize like I just mentioned. But what you guys do bigger than that is really what's going to hook people and go, you know what? This is freaking unbelievable what Mophett and Drew and all of your families that have sacrificed you guys being gone so much of working that ground. And for what? Not to kill a duck. It's to live this lifestyle. It's giving back. It's being able to have Skip go, holy shit, man, look at what's going on that piece of God's dirt. And that dirt could have been condominiums. It could have been a swamp. I know you've told me about the water levels and how naturally it would come through there. And that's why the ducks like that area. There's no telling what that ground would have become if you guys didn't get your hands on it. So that's what I love about it. And I'm going back to the beginning of this conversation that every detail down to the T of that blind bag shows the big picture. The big picture success comes because what's in that blind bag and that backpack is organized on a daily basis. And I know that might sound tacky to some and, oh, Belding, you're just saying that. Trust me, if you start there, that's how you get in this industry. That's how you become successful. Become a sponge. And even when you fail, even when the good Lord and the duck gods don't do it right for you that day, take something out of that hunt. Keep a smile on your face. Stay optimistic. Go back to the lodge and figure out a recipe. Figure out a new lick on your guitar. Figure out how to run a dozer. Go train a dog. Take something out of that day at duck camp, because there's no better special place in the world. From Paris, France, and the Eiffel Tower to the Colosseum in Rome to the Amalfi Coast in Italy to Argentina, there is no better place in this world. I've been to all of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, than Duck Camp America, Louisiana, Honey Break. There is no better special place on earth than Duck Camp. I mean that. That's the truth, and you could put that in writing, Skip. You should write a story on Duck Camp America.
I love it. It's true. I love it when you get that evangelical tone going. It's so natural. But you're absolutely right. It's completely circling way back. It's supposed to be fun. We get in this because we enjoy it. It becomes almost a religious passion for us. But at the end of the day, it needs to be fun. And the greatest thing about duck lines, of course, is the camaraderie and the laughing and everything. And gear is fun. It's exciting, you know. When you thumb through the gear issue and you see all the different possibilities, you wonder what will work, or you see something you've never seen before. Like I saw a choke wrench I just put in the September issue that has a reel handle on it. So for speed, it's just, gear is fun. It's exciting, you know, and this whole experience is supposed to be exciting. We talked about a lot of stuff that's kind of intimidating today in terms of mastering that skill set, but it all should circle back to having a good time and getting people excited about it.
I agree.
Too short not to have fun.
Well, I will tell you this, Skip Knowles, is that we've had fun at Honey Break, and it's went into Tennessee. It's gone into phone calls. It's gone into family. I know I've been to Drew's birthday parties for his kids and fish fries. Jared and his wife and his baby were there. I've been there when Leith Lofton is torn down and John Party is sang songs. They got Riley Duckman Green down there. They got athletes down there. They have military down there. I was down there hunting with the head of 4-H, Dr. Tossan. I've been there with experiences that you just got to pinch yourself, Skip Knowles. You're like, wow, that really just happened? That did not. I just ate squirrel with Shelly. Like Shelly just cooked squirrel that she shot out of her trees on her property, and I can't get enough of it. And we had Troy.
She might have ran over it with a car.
She might have roadkilled it. But we've had Troy Link there, the biggest jerky company in the world. I mean, the guy doesn't. They're enamored by it. I mean, I think Drew was even going to go turkey hunt with Troy Link in South Dakota this year because of the quick bomb.
We got coronavirus.
Yeah, then that Corona come on. So, guys, I appreciate it. I can't wait to get back down there. I know it's getting close to September. It seems like we were just in Nashville yesterday. It seriously does. Like NWTF literally has been 5 months ago already. Isn't that not crazy?
I think they closed down Nashville after we left.
Right after. They had to. They had to. But what a big time we had, Brent Cobb. What a freaking night that was. So, guys, I appreciate it. Skip, you got any closing words? A big thank you to Honey Break, Drew Keith, Jared Mophett, everybody down there at the whole Honey Break family. Thank you for doing what you do for our brands. And, you guys represent brands with the utmost respect. Great ambassadors and voices.
You know, the most fun thing about these podcasts has been able to see all these faces like Zink and Tony and Drew that I haven't seen in the off season before. It's really, really fun. And I've enjoyed it. I appreciate the opportunity to spread the gospel on the gear issue and build that excitement moving towards the season. And you guys really made me take a hard look at the reality of my blind bag and my 10 items. I tend to look like water, hot tea, toilet paper, jerky, big bag of Cheetos. Oh, yeah, spare duck call. And I'm really going to look at how I get myself organized. And I'm going to thumb through the gear issue and have some fun doing that. But you guys really made me miss the hell out of Honey Break, too. I didn't even know how that place worms its way into your consciousness. And I can see the whole hog spinning on the roaster. And just it's a really neat deal. I hope to get down there and see you guys again.
You do it. Make it happen.
I accept.
Oh, I'll be back. I'm what they call the adopted son of the South. I gave myself that name, but
You cook grits?
I can cook grits.
Probably instant grits.
Instant grits. Jared Mophett, any closing words?
No, it's just like anything else in life. You're going to go further. If you're passionate about it, love what you do. I don't ever wake up no morning. I hadn't yet, but I'm not wanting to go to work. I'm rich every morning, right with the Lord, rich at what I do at my work. I love my coworkers, and we're a great team. And, I tell people all the time, have guides all the time, it comes, well, they killing this over there. They killing this over there. We don't worry about that. We got one group of people in here we're going to take care of, and we're going to give them first class. And that's our clients that's in our lodge. And that's who we ready to take care of. And that's who we're going to work hard all year to get ready for the duck season. We're going to put everything we got into it. And when you come, you're going to be there for a 4-hour hunt or a 3-day hunt or whatever. But you're going to enjoy that hunt, but what you're really paying for is all that work that went on that we just discussed right here, from drawdowns to mechanic work to work on equipment, to changing oil in boats and motors, to drawdowns, to planting cereal grain, to managing the WRP and moist soil, and we're building blinds and thinking all year about how can we make this experience the best that we can do, make it a little bit better from last year. And you look at the numbers and you say, that's hard to top. But every year we just want to get a little bit better. If it's just one improvement, when you show up, I want it to be one thing better than it was last year.
Well, just as long as you've been coming there, we'd like to every year something to be different. Like if you went to the amusement park and it was the same rides every year, hey, I've ridden that in 5 years in a row. I really don't want to go back again. So the little things, we're adding more boathouses, putting the carpet down so that you're not getting your feet muddy. The observation tower, just the different things that we try to keep adding to it.
Always new, and I wanted to congratulate both of you on reaching the 100 duck milestone. You guys killed over 101 ducks last year for the whole season, and I wanted to be the first one to say congratulations.
Triple digits.
I don't even want to talk about the harvest success rate at Honey Break because it's freaking awesome. But
we only cleaned 8,306 ducks last year.
Did you hear that, Skip? Did you hear that?
It's not just that; it's the kind of ducks, man. I was there with Buzz Hazen. He caught this F16 freaking canvasback drake humming in, and the photo was just spectacular. It's the quality of the ducks too, man. It's incredible.
Some of the best sprig, mallard, and canvasback footed, and teal. I mean, and I mean this, and me and Drew could talk off camera on this, and we'll talk in private about it, but I will call him out, is that he gets really excited with teal. I have a little bit more patience, and I kind of understand what the feet down and the wingtips are doing when you call the shot. And Jared has even looked at me sometimes in the blind and go, Belding, you need to be calling the shot. But we don't say that to Drew. We want him to be over there with his hat on and the dog whistle and all that, and doing the thing that Drew Brees, the quarterback, Drew Keith does, but he knows that I need to be calling the shot on those teal groups, Skip Knowles, and I'm going to start taking a little bit more authority when I'm down there. I try
to let the first ones light on the water so Chad will have some success, and then we can start feeling out.
You don't want to shoot at ducks on water at Honey Break because you will hit a decoy.
You
will hit a decoy. Drew Keith, Jared Mophett, Honey Break, thank you very much for everything you do, not just for myself personally, our crew here at the Fowl Life, Bandit, Realtree, Benelli, Federal, you name it. But on top of that, what you do for the birds, conservation, 4-H, military, everything as a whole, you guys engulf the lifestyle. And like I said, I'm proud to be your friend. I'm proud to get the welcome and the invite to come down there. I do not ever take it for granted. I love it down there. Skip Knowles, do you have any closing words before we sign off of the 2020-21 gear issue hunting accessories episode of the Fowl Life podcast?
This is closing number 3.
I just really think that the takeaway here is focus on consistency, having fun, and that you're going to have more fun if you're organized and get your gear
Exactly.
together.
Exactly.
And get prepared ahead of the time. We talked to Vandermoor earlier about that today, and he's like, when you're earlier in your career, you have your bag packed in June. As you get more involved in it later on, you're often scrambling for something the night before. But it's worth the effort. You're going to enjoy it more, and we could all stand to get a little more organized, I imagine.
Hey, man, that's Fowl Life. Tom, hit that button. This is 2 a.m. Logic. The song is called My Fowl Life. Thank you all for subscribing to the podcast and supporting the partners and sponsors that support us. We will have more coming your way with the 2020-21 WILDFOWL Gear issue. For Skip Knowles, my co-host, Mr. Jared Mophett, and Drew Keith at the great Honey Break Lodge in the great state of Louisiana. I'm Chad Belding. This has been another episode of the Fowl Eye Podcast. Thank you all very much.